I am so excited to finally sit down and share with you guys my trip to Benin, which is located in West Africa. I've actually sat down and filmed this at least 2 other times. And it just was not giving the energy that I needed to give. This is my very first experience ever on the continent of Africa. And I needed to give you guys energy. I think the problem was that I was trying to film it right when I got back home from the trip. And I was still tired. I was tired. So I think that's what the problem was. But enough is enough. I'm going to sit down today. I'm super excited, guys. I have a whole bunch of clips and a whole bunch to tell you. So I spent 8 days in Benin through Turkish Airlines. So we had a layover in Istanbul. So altogether, going, I would say, was about 18 hours, and coming back home was about 18 hours as well. So yeah, that might be why this is my 3rd time trying to film this, because I was a little tired flying back home. But I wanted to share with you guys everything that I did on the trip. And I also do want to start off by telling you why I went on the trip in the first place and who I went with. So this trip was really, really special to me because I went with a tourism company called Go Back to Africa. And what they specialize in is exactly what I did. Going back to Africa, connecting the diaspora back to the continent, and just being able to bridge that disconnect and to go back and to be immersed in the culture, learn about our history, learn about our ancestors, just be there and break away that stigma of traveling to Africa and go there and experience it for yourself so that you can fall in love with it. And let me tell you guys something, I fell in love so much, so much that I just got back home and I'm already planning the next trip. I'm going back in October, this time to Ghana and to Togo. Why it was so special is because the founder of Go Back to Africa is actually my aunt. So you guys hear me talk about my dad all the time on this channel. This is my dad's baby sister. And the reason why it was so special to me is because I know that he would have been like, yes, 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 because I know that this is a trip that he wanted for himself and he never, got the opportunity to do that. So to be able to go with my aunt.
My desire to bring all of us back to the continent, because it will change your life forever. And that is what I do. I bring you back to the continent so you can find out who you are, what your story is, and you can come back a different person. And if you're interested in coming, I would like for you, I have a company and it's called Go Back to Africa. And the reason that I named it that is because the continent has always been portrayed in a negative way, but this place is absolutely beautiful. And I want you to go back to Africa because you have a place. And we go to all different countries in Africa and show you where you've come from, and also just show you the beauty of Africa, to let you know that you have a place, a beautiful place. So if you're interested in going, you can look at my website. It's www.go-back-to-africa.net. And just take a look at my website and you'll see some of the trips that I have there. But most of my trips are custom trips. You will be fully immersed in the culture. You will have an experience that you have never had before, and it will change you forever. So please take a look so that we can all go back to Africa.
Right. Right. So for the past 10 years or more, actually, I've been watching her go back to Africa. Like she's on the continent somewhere, at least, I would say at least at minimum 2-3 times a year she goes, and she has teams set up all over Africa. She's got teams in Uganda, Tanzania. I mean, she's been everywhere. And I don't know any other person who is part of the diaspora, who's African American, who is not as passionate as she is about making sure that we connect ourselves back to Africa, and to go explore it and see it for ourselves. Because I'm telling you, you will not come back. You will not come back the same. You will not come back the same. I promise you that. All right, so day one in Benin was in Cotonou. So Cotonou is actually the city that you fly into, and in Benin. And I really, really enjoyed Cotonou. I would say it's more of like a busy city life. There's heavy traffic, okay? heavy traffic. I love it. It gives very much city vibes. There's the beach there. There is all kinds of restaurants. You have Dingtopa Market. You have nightlife. So it's a lot going on in Cotonou, and I think that you would definitely enjoy it. But we flew in. We got in around midnight. We got in around midnight, so we just, we were tired, okay? We were tired. We went to the guest house so we could rest, but let me tell you, one of the things that I want to make sure that I point out is the welcome that you receive when you go to Benin. One thing I cannot stress enough about this trip is how at home I felt and how welcomed I felt from the moment we made it to the airport. We left out of the airport. Honestly, for the moment we landed, really, we just felt welcome everywhere we went. There, it's just like people, were so friendly, so open, so warm, so welcoming, and they would say things like, "Welcome home." Welcome home, my sister. So happy to have you. You came back. Welcome back. Come back. And the night that we got in, Boris gave us the most beautiful, special welcome with pouring out of the water.
Welcome home.
Wait a minute.
It has been a long time, and I'm welcoming you with water.
I'm already
Because water is love, water is peace, water is joy. So whenever we have our people traveling and they come and return homes, we receive them with water. And then before you enter the guest house, I'm going to pour water on the floor and you pass in the water. So you come in with physically and spiritually.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Water and welcoming us back home, because it's been a long time, right? It's been a long time. So that was a beautiful feeling. We got some rest that night, and then the next morning we were ready to hit the ground. We had a really good breakfast at Hotel Canelya, which is where we stayed at in Cotonou. And for all of the places that we stayed, I will make sure that I put down below in the description box if they have any websites or social media. I'll make sure I put that in there so you can take a look at it for yourselves. But we stayed at Hotel Canelya. We had breakfast there, and we headed out to the market to buy some fabric. And when I tell you, the fabric choices were so overwhelming for me, because they were all so beautiful. They were all so beautiful and so vibrant, so bright, just all the patterns. I wanted all of them. But I didn't. I was so overwhelmed. I think I only bought one. Oh, also at the market, I tried some grilled meat, which when you go to the market, you will have so many different, you can buy everything at the market: spices, fabric, your produce, your meats, clothes, anything you could think of, you can get there at the open market. And so I tried some grilled meat, which was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was so good and so well seasoned. Good morning. So I am all ready to go. We're getting ready to head out for today. I am back in Cotonou, Benin, and we have a full day. We have a full day today. We're headed out to the Djegba market, which is a huge open market where you can find pretty much anything: food, spices, fabrics, jewelry, I mean anything that you need, meat, you know, anything that you're looking for you can find out at the market. So I'm really excited. I bought an empty suitcase with me to bring home all kinds of goodies. So, but yeah, I am excited for today. I just finished up my breakfast. I'm finishing off my tea, and let's go ahead and get the day started. That's another thing. But this is a food channel, so I guess I would highlight that the most. But while I was eating in Benin, you would have thought that my entire 42 years that everything that I ate was just like bland and was disgusting, because the way I was like eating in Benin, I was looking forward to every single meal because the food is so good and flavorful and just seasoned just right. I loved everything that I ate in Benin. It's so good. But we took our fabric over to the tailor after we left the market, and he nailed everything that we showed him and we asked for, with the measurements and different styles and designs. When we picked everything up at the end of our trip from him, perfection, like perfection. So for lunch, we went to this restaurant called Saveurs de Benin, or Saveurs of Benin. And if you guys watched the Netflix docu-series called High on the Hog, then a lot of the things that I'm talking about and showing you in this video was actually featured in the first episode. And so Saveurs was one of the restaurants that he visited. And when I tell you, she put out the most incredible spread for us. I'm talking grilled fish, different sides, vegetables, yams, all kinds of juices, fresh juice, watermelon, fresh ginger juice, fresh pineapple juice. There were all kinds of sauces and everything. And it was incredible because there were so many things that I had never tried before. Like, I don't think I've ever eaten barracuda ever in my life, but I came back to Charlotte hunting down barracuda. Like, who sells the barracuda, because I need it. I need it. It was grilled barracuda. It was so good. But I tried so many different things that I had never had before, but also too, at the same time, what I loved about the food there was that it was still very familiar. You know, the way that food was laid out with all the different sides and choices and sauces, it kind of reminds me so much of like Sunday dinner, right? Every meal to me felt like a Sunday dinner setting, like at your grandmother's, you know, where everybody gathers around the table. And mealtime is an actual, you know, it's not like just, okay, we want to just eat this real quick and rush. Like, mealtime was actually family time, and I love that. I really love that. Just sitting down and talking and having all the different choices on the table, and the fact that when you ate your food, you knew that it was prepared with love. You knew that it was not a rushed process, you know. We finished up our day in Cotonou, went back to Hotel Canelya and got some rest because we got on the road the next morning and made our way to Abomey. So Abomey is about 2.5 to 3 hours north of Cotonou. It was a really nice ride. Just looking out the windows, everything was so peaceful, but there were also plenty of stands along the way where you can buy fresh fruit, fresh pineapples, mangoes, soursop. It was my first time ever trying soursop, and it was delicious. Probably my favorite fruit now. But we made our way to Abomey, and we stayed at Chez Edith. When we got there, we were welcomed with this dance and music and singing, which was just so beautiful. We even got up and danced a bit, which I was totally stepping outside of my comfort zone because I dance. I dance at home. I don't dance in front of people, but breaking out of that shell and just hearing the drums and hearing the music and everyone is just happy and pulling everybody up to dance and you're just moving. Look, hold on, why am I moving right now? The dances that we were blessed with was, I was explained to that it was a traditional dance that was done that used to be done before they would go into battle, is what the warriors would do to bring, to motivate and encourage before they would go into battle. So I thought that was really cool that they shared that with us. And let me show you. So one of the things about a trip that I really loved was that we got a chance to experience a lot of things firsthand for ourselves and be shown how different things were done. So I got a chance to experience grinding the onions and the tomatoes for sauces later using the rocks. But I also got a chance to experience getting water out of the well, which, by the way, is not as easy as it looks. Not at all. Not at all. But I wanted to get the water out of the well and I wanted to try to hold it over my head. Everywhere that you go, you see the women there so effortlessly walking, holding just everything on top of their head, and they're so graceful with it and just standing tall. And I thought that was just so beautiful. And I wanted to be able to do it myself. Wasn't quite successful, but you still couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me nothing, okay? So I enjoyed that from Chez Edith. She's Tata Edith. Tata means aunt. So we had our dinner that night and some fresh produce that we picked up along the way from the market. We got a chance to get some rest, and then the next morning we headed out to got up the next morning, got ready, and we went out to the beach, which is where the beach and the shores, where the slave ships were. And so that was something. That was a little hard in that moment. We actually went out there to visit there is the gate of no return. There are, I believe there are 3. There's one in Senegal. I want to say the other one is in Ghana, but Benin has one as well. It's not an actual gate that was there, but it's symbolic because this is the route, that the enslaved took for the slave trade. So I thought, that's actually pretty special. We couldn't actually get up on the gate of no return because it is blocked off right now for construction and renovation. But we were still right there on the shores of the beach, walking the sand, putting our feet in the water, and there was something about that. It's just like, wow, I'm really here, But even in that moment, you'll see, I have a clip somewhere I'll put up for you guys. But even in that moment, while we're doing this and we're putting our feet in the water and we're just thinking about our ancestors and learning what took place right there, you see these kids. So when we first pulled up, there were school buses that were coming in, and you see all of these kids that are getting off. And obviously they were taking a field trip, and they were out there on the shores with us too. And they're, all in these big circles, and they're playing, their school games, and just like, your elementary school, you have like your schoolyard games and stuff, and they're singing songs and they're dancing. And so I thought, wow, for a space that so much history took place in, and where so much hurt began, Here these kids are bringing joy into this space.
Okay, okay.
You know, my God, like just thinking about it right now, like they're singing and they're playing and they're laughing, and it's nothing like kids to really just bring joy into a moment, right? And almost like, you know, listen, we're gonna sing and we're gonna dance and we're gonna laugh and we're gonna bring joy and happiness into this moment. And it was just like probably one of the highlights of the trip for me. The highlights of the trip for me was seeing them just being happy right there, right in a space that was so heavy. And I had a good time. I had a good time, and you couldn't help but smile in that moment right there with them. So that was a very sacred and special moment to me. And we wrapped it up. We were headed back to the car, and here's coconuts. Here's coconuts right there. And let me tell you something. Okay, it's hot. It's hot every day. You don't escape the heat no matter where you are, no matter what time of day. It is hot, but eventually you just get used to it. But after having that moment on the beach, it was perfect to have these coconuts right here that were so refreshing. The guy just cuts them right open for you, and you drink the water. It's good. Water. You quench your thirst. Now you're refreshed and hydrated. Then you hand it back to him, and he cuts it open and scoops the meat out, and now you eat the meat. I mean, really, really, really loved it. Absolutely loved it. Merci. So I'm about to eat some fresh coconut right out of the shell. The salt village of Djegba, or the salt ponds of Djegba, this is where we got to see the women, the Beninois women, produce this salt. And I think I may have shown you guys a clip in one of my shorts that I posted last week of this salt and how it is produced. And it is so cool, because you go out there and it's some mangroves, you know, so you have to walk across the water, and you get to see these women who are getting the salt out of the ponds, getting it out of the ponds, and they're bringing this water over to these homemade filtration systems, and they're putting the water in, and it filters it through. And it's something really cool about how they do it. They take the palm kernel seeds, put it into a bottle, and then they test the water as well. So they test the water, they put it into the bottle, and after it's gone through the filtration system. And what they do, a way that they can tell that it's usable, is if the palm kernels float to the top, it's good. If they sink, it's no good. You got to go start the whole thing all over again. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. That part of the trip just blew my mind, because I was like, what? Wow, really? And so after they get the water, they take it into these oven huts. So you can see all throughout there are these oven huts that it's hot. Okay, first of all, like I told you, Benin is hot, but then you go into these huts and then it's even hotter, and they cook the water down for about, I want to say maybe like several hours, until it produces this salt. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And so they do this all day. The women do it, and then the men come and they sell the salt out in the towns. The hotel that we stayed at that morning, they brought the salt out to us on the platter. I have some of the salt now here at home. After we wrapped up our day at in Ouidah and visited the shores and visited the salt villages, we went back to the hotel, got a little bit of rest. And the next day we were headed out. The next day was it was pretty significant because, like I said, you know, we're taking this journey, and so we visited the Slave Road area and we visited the mass grave. So the mass grave is where the enslaved who did not make the journey, who didn't make the journey to the ships, that perished before they even got on the ship.
Massive grave, and this place were buried our ancestors who couldn't continue the journey. So it's just a part of the process. And why are they buried here? Because they were just tired, because they were just sick, because they were just weak. And it was just the beginning of the journey. Because from here, the rest of the slave has to continue to the sea, to the oceans, where they have to be on the ship and go to America. Unfortunately, some were sick, some have malaria, and the master see that this cannot benefit because they still have more way to reach the destination. So they just bury them here. In French, we call it mur de lamentation. If I translate it in English, it will be crying wall.
Crying wall.
Yeah. So a lot of human bones has been discovered here, and with the historian, they realized that this was the place where they were burying our people. So very often people come and put candles here because these are souls. They haven't done anything to anybody. They were not criminals, but unfortunately they have to leave this world such a way. So here we are. The red color is talking about the blood of innocent people that has been spread here. And on the wall you will see the slaves in chains, or peoples in chains. And the red color is just a symbol of the innocent people.
I was really excited to visit Ganvie while we were in Benin. I had heard so much about it. I had even seen it on High on the Hog, and I got to experience that towards the end of our trip. So Ganvie is actually an entire city that sits on water. So it's a population of about 30,000 live in Ganvie, and it's all on water. The homes, everything is on water. And you have to take your boats to get to it. And so Ganvie actually was started, I want to say like well over 500 years ago. And the way that Ganvie was started was the founders of Ganvie actually were trying to escape enslavement. So they fled to this area and to the waters, and it's believed just in historical that that area was protected and no one could get to them or touch them. And this is how they escaped being enslaved, by fleeing to the waters, and the waters protected them.
Slavery. You know that the kingdom of Dahomey one time will come and invade, capture them for slave. They were not much strong than the Dahomey army. And the only option for them is to go on the top of the lake and escape and hide themselves. Although Dahomey's army was powerful, they don't know how to swim. So no way they will come on the lake here and look for slaves. That's how this place became a Ganvie. And Ganvie, which means we are safe here. So the Ganvie people, they are Toffin or Toffin. The Toffin, they understand them. They live on fishing. So when we'll be going, we'll be in the heart of the village after 10 to 15 minutes riding on the boat. So this lake
Nokwe is the bank of fish for Cotonou and Kaale.
Them. And so the people of Ganvie have stayed there and built an entire city all on water. So everything sits up on stilts. You can see the boats come through. This is how they shop through the boats. Like the boats are set up as a market. You see families and women and men. You even see people grilling on the boat and selling like the grilled meats. You can do all of your market shopping, buy your produce, everything off of the boats. And you even see the boats coming back and forth, like taking you to land, like to Cotonou. And it's like they're buses, but you know, on boats. So it was really cool to drive to did I just say drive? It was really cool to float through on our boat and explore Ganvie and hear about their history and their culture and just see everyday life out on the water. And, you know, there's schools out there, churches, everyone's homes are out there, and we were able to pull into a hotel that also had a souvenir shop and do a little bit of shopping while we were there. So that was another pretty cool part of the trip that I really enjoyed learning about and experiencing. We wrapped up our trip in Benin in a town called Possotome. And I don't really have many clips. Actually, I don't have many clips of Possotome at all, but there's a reason for that. And that's because I found so much peace in Possotome. It's a fisherman village, and we went and we stayed at Chez Theo. And it was so nice. We all had our own bungalows out there. It's directly on the water. We were able to eat outside, had a swimming pool, hammocks. It was just so peaceful for me. But like I said, it's a fisherman village. And you can just sit out on the water and you watch the men going by in their boats and they're casting their nets into the water. And it was just something about that just brought so much healing to me, and I needed that. I really needed that part of the trip. I did. There was some things I needed to work through, I needed to let go of, and I was able to do it there. So yeah, I don't have a lot of footage. I got some pictures of the hotel, not the hotel, but the guest house that we were staying in. But I spent this, and it was so quiet too. It was so quiet, and I think that it was the perfect way for us to wrap up our trip in Benin by ending it in Possotome. A couple of things I do want to cover. So flying into Benin, you will need to have a negative COVID test. So, and I believe it's 72 hours, 72 hours prior. You know, like now we're traveling, things have changed. You gotta do a couple of extra steps along the way. But yeah, so you will need to have a negative COVID test to travel into Benin. You'll also need to have your yellow fever vaccination. You'll need to get that before you go and carry your yellow fever card with you. You are also going to need to have a visa that you can get online. You can apply for it online. Process is very simple, and you'll get an instant e-visa. Just print it off and just take it with you on your trip. Languages. Okay, so in Benin, if you can speak French, you're good to go. There's several languages that are spoken, but if you speak French or you speak Swahili, then you'll be able to communicate. I have not. I have not studied French since the mid-90s, okay? And now I'm 42. So I barely remember anything that I learned. But just like the basic greetings or whatever, and even those I was struggling with. But by the end of the trip, I was a little bit more comfortable. And you just have to push yourself to speak it. If you can get the greetings and just, and try to communicate, maybe use like a Google Translate and stuff like that. Would be good. But yeah, so French is spoken, Swahili is spoken, and then also too the native languages are spoken there as well. But if you know those two or a bit of those two, then you'll be able to communicate a little bit more comfortably. But I am traveling back. I'm traveling to Ghana and Togo in October, and so I'm doing that trip as well with Go Back to Africa. And so English is spoken in Ghana, but Togo, they do speak French. So I'm going to be ready. Yeah, it was an incredible trip for me. And I highly recommend it to anyone else, especially African Americans. Go and connect. What was Boris was explaining to us is about the rope, right? The rope connecting the past to the present to the future. You can't have one without the other, right? And in order for us to go forward into the future, and we have to connect to our past. We have to know who we are. We have to know what we went through. We have to know so that we can be stronger, and we can be proud, and we can be more knowledgeable and aware of who we are in the future. So doing that work today, so that that rope that is all about the connection. And so if you have any questions, I hope I didn't talk your head off. I really hope I didn't. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to leave it down below in the comment section. I'll try to answer as much as I can. If you have any questions about planning a trip with Go Back to Africa, like I said, I'll put the website up on the screen again, and I'll put it down below in the description box. But it is www.go-back-to-africa-.net. Okay, and your life will be changed. Okay.
How do you feel now that you know part of your story, which has been hidden from you all of your life, because it's not
Sisters, but also too at the same time, pride. And I know that doesn't seem like it goes with this situation, but pride in who I am, pride in the fact that I have that strength and that resilience, and that warrior embedded in me, in my bloodline, and it makes me even more proud for my people. It makes me proud to call myself African. I don't think I've ever done that. I've never called myself African, but I feel proud in saying that. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. It's very heavy, but I think it's extremely necessary in some kind of way. If you can connect, even if it's not this exact walk, if you're connecting some kind of way to your culture and to your ancestors, any kind of way, connect and find your identity, and discover who you are and who we were, so that we can be strong.